You are lying down, eyes closed, but your mind is still rippling like a lake's surface that has not yet stilled. The day's worries, sorrows unlet go, secret wounds, they return again and again, making sleep feel like a luxury. Have you ever asked yourself, why do we suffer so much? And how can we release everything so that the heart becomes light like a cloud, serene like the wind? Tonight, you do not need to search for answers alone. Let the temple bell sound along, the wind whispering through the canopy of leaves, and the ancient Zen stories lull you into sleep. These stories are not dry philosophy but small lamps guiding you, so you gradually release each burden, each grief, each fear you have held so tightly for so long. Over the next few hours, you only need to let go. Take a very deep breath, and listen. Each Buddhist teaching, each Zen tale will be like a gentle wave, carrying you slowly away from the shore of suffering into a quiet sea. Let tonight be the night you learn a simple yet great truth: letting go is peace. And as you surrender into sleep, those teachings will continue to whisper in your subconscious, keeping the candle of peace burning within you. Now, gently place both hands on your belly as if placing a warm pebble on still water. And listen to your own breath. Inhale very slowly through your nose in 4 counts. Hold for 1 count as though holding a slightly ajar door. Then exhale longer, 5, 6, or 7 counts, letting go of what is no longer needed. Sense your belly rising, then falling like a small wave up the shore, then returning to the open sea. Shoulders relaxing, jaw relaxing, forehead releasing, your eyes soft like they are soaking in gentle darkness. If a thought drifts in, simply note, there is a thought, and let it drift away like a single cloud. Your whole body melting into the mattress. Bones heavy yet comfortable. Skin cool as though caressed by night's breeze. Release from your toes, 10 toes soft like grass after rain, up through ankles. Calves, knees, thighs, hips, belly, chest, back, shoulders, arms, hands, neck, jaw, cheeks, ears, eyes, forehead, crown. Each place passed through feels like a knot undone, a burden lighter, one more step away from noise. In the imagined soundscape, a distant temple bell and whispering stream. You do not need to strive for peace. You only need to allow yourself peace. Your breath will do the rest. Because with each in and out, you are cultivating an important habit: noticing, accepting, then letting go. And here we touch the source of tonight's teaching. Suffering often arises from the habit of clinging. Clinging to what has passed like holding a stained photograph. Clinging to what is not yet like embracing a shadow not yet formed. Clinging to stories of me, like holding a name written on sand, for when the tide comes, all must return. Letting go is not abandoning. Letting go is not pushing away. Letting go is returning the object to its place. Like returning a stone to the riverbed so water flows naturally. Returning a leaf at the end of season so the tree can bud anew. Returning breath to the lungs so body and mind lighten. You can try a small experiment right now. As you inhale, quietly say, "Come." As you exhale, quietly say, "Go." And let each silent word wash away the tiny attachments still clinging at the edge of consciousness. When the breath has become even, the body soft, the mind less stormy, we together enter the first story, a story that demands no concepts to remember. Only invites you to see a very simple image to understand an important gateway to peace: the empty bowl. On a cool rainy night, on a stone path in the mountains, a traveler in a long robe, arms carrying a heavy bundle of books, each step producing a crack of a raindrop splintering on toe of his shoe. He has passed many schools, many debates, countless light arrogances like smoke but leaving stink heavy as smoke. That night he comes before the gate of a thatched hermitage under pine branches. The gate unlatched, only a bamboo wind chime breathing sparse. Round sounds. Inside, fire in the small stove burns blue. An old man in rough cloth sits by a pot of tea. Eyes bright and calm, asking no name, no credentials, only tilting his head as if tilting an ear to hear the rain. The traveler bows. Unwraps books like laying out a carpet of merits, dissertations, letters of recommendation, summaries of works, names of great masters, list of awards, then speaks of what he knows, what he discerns, the terms he masters, the systems he erects to prop up the world. The old man does not comment. Only takes the teapot and pours, The first clink of tea into cup sounds like a raindrop falling onto a riverbed. Warmth rising, scent of young leaves opening like a dawn door. The bowl fills to the brim, then overflows. Hot water runs onto the wooden table, falls into an old ash basin. Rising thin steam. The traveler startles. Master, the bowl is overflowing. The old man says, yes, I see, and yet still pours. Teacher, the bowl is full. Cannot accept more. Yes, like your mind, the quiet after that words is long as a mountain path. Long as a rain season. Long as all the years the traveler has filled his life with words. He looks at the bowl. The wet hem of his robe. The bundle of books. Then takes a coarse cloth to place under the bowl like applying a bandage to a cut. The old man stops pouring. Hand not leaving the teapot. Eyes still watching rain outside the porch. Says, before I say anything, try one simple thing. Pour the water from this bowl into that jar. The traveler lifts the bowl. Hand trembling slightly from heat. He pours. Water flowing in a thin stream. The sound like a letter without letters. The bowl becoming empty. Empty enough to see bottom. The bowl's bottom stained by years. A chip like a scar. And the moment the bowl touches bottom, something in his chest also touches bottom. Peace. The old man takes the bowl back. Does not pour again immediately. Only places the empty bowl before the traveler like a mirror. Then pours. This time the sound of water into bowl feels different. Like someone coming home. Like the exhale of someone who has held their breath too long. The traveler drinks the first sip. Warmth passing lips, tongue, throat, falling into belly like a bird folding its wings and sleeping. And he sees something so simple it's almost funny that all along he had only been showing off the bowl. Not letting the bowl do the work of the bowl. The old man asks, what is the bowl for? The traveler answers, to hold. Exactly. If you want to hold, then the bowl must be empty. If you want to learn, the mind must be empty. If you want peace, then hands must let go. Outside, rain has stopped. Only water dripping drop by drop from eaves. They are silent for a long time, silent enough for an old man and someone who was once young to grow a little older. The traveler gathers his bundle of books. Each roll of paper suddenly returns to its place. Tools. No longer titles. As he stands, he bows. The old man does not say, return. Nor, do not return. Only tilts the teapot, like placing a slanted sunbeam, and says a sentence gentle as placing a leaf on a table. Today you have learned the first lesson. Knowing how to pour out, on the way down the mountain. The slope is still the same slope. Stones still slippery after rain. But his steps are different. Each step a breath. Each breath a sweet empty space. And now, as you lie quietly hearing the story, you might try pouring out a little of what is full in your heart. Pour out by exhaling longer by one count. Pour out by silently saying, leave it. Tomorrow. Pour out by allowing sleep to come without judging, because from that empty bowl, the things that truly need space can enter, peace, gentleness, and a deep sleep like an ancient well. So continue inhaling in 4 counts. Hold 1, exhaling in 6 or 7. So the body knows how to adjust its own rhythm. So the mind finds a quiet shore where waves can rest. And as you drift into sleep, the next story will await. Like a lamp still warm after hand is withdrawn. Like shoulders that have laid their load down long ago. Leaving the hermitage where the lesson about the empty bowl has just settled like warmth still lingering on the rim. We step onto the dirt road after rain. The road opens onto a small wooden bridge spanning a faintly brown stream. The wood is damp. A thin layer of moss like a cloth draped over it. The water flows quickly through narrow spots. Slowly where it widens, the surface of the stream inlaid with drifting leaves like unread letters. 2 monks walk facing the wind, their brown robes stained with faded mud. The sound of sandals rubbing against wood soft, like someone whispering with patience. At the far end of the bridge, a young woman hesitates, hands clasping the edge of her robe, eyes glancing down at the murky water. Heavy rain has just passed through. Stone steps are submerged, and one wrong step could mean a tattered garment. The young monk looks at her for a moment, then bows and says, let me help, without argument, without hesitation, simply slipping his arm under hers. Lifting as one lifts a bundle of rice about to fall. Carrying her across. Water shocks at his calves. Hand gripping the bridge's rail. A leaf swirling around ankle like an unspoken question. the scent of warm earth and damp wood mixing into an old memory. On the other side, the monk sets her feet on dry stones, nods gently, then continues on as though placing a stone back into an arch and departing. They walk several more miles, the late sun drying the hems of robes, the path curving past a sparse grove of bamboo. The wind through leaves sounds like a hand loosening a tangled knot. And then the companion monk cannot remain silent any longer. Complaint rising like heat held in. How could you carry a woman across the stream? We vowed not to touch women. Have you forgotten the rule? The young monk pauses under the bamboo shade, not rushing to defend, looking down at his now dry hand. Fine dust settled in the grooves of his skin like a thin salt film. Then smiles, voice calm like water that has seen the bottom. I put her down at the bank of the stream. You are carrying her even now. The words fall to earth like a seed sown in season. Quiet, but sprouting, and you might hear faintly the sound of the sprout cracking open. That is the moment one realizes that most of the burden on one's shoulders does not come from the real thing, but from a shadow held with invisible hands of thought. They walk on in silence, and suddenly the path seems wider, because each of them has just laid down something no one sees. And you, now lying in bed, might try laying down a woman across the stream. You have carried in your heart for many years, an apology unspoken, an email not replied, a minor mistake repeated, a project left unfinished, a person no longer here but still standing somewhere in your mind. There is no debate needed, no self-blame, only a mental gesture. Imagine on your chest a basket woven from reeds, its mouth opening with an exhale. And each time you exhale, count slowly to 6 or 7. Place into the basket one thing that burdens you, the missed phone call, a wrinkle between brows, a should have. Then inhale 4 counts, letting the basket's mouth close. Exhale again. The basket drifts softly with the stream, out the imaginary window, along the night stream you hear beneath. You are not casting away. You are returning, as the monk put the girl down on the far bank, exactly where the story ends. If a thought creeps in saying, but I must resolve it before sleep, respond with a small ritual, hand on chest. Silently say, tomorrow, and exhale one more beat. Letting go is not betrayal of duty, but placing things in their proper time, so energy is kept for a tomorrow that is clear and straight, rather than a night tugged by a hook called, must now. As you listen more closely, you will notice in your body you too have wooden bridges and stream banks like that. A shoulder slightly tight, carry it across by gently rotating the arm 2 circles then stopping. A waistband slightly pinched, carry it across by placing a cushion where hip meets spine so spine can breathe. A wrinkle between brows, carry it across by imagining your brows as 2 doors slowly closing. Each placing down is 1 less heavy mile. And along that lighter road, sometimes you still hear the companion in your head wanting to argue, wanting to hold on to the rules of the day, wanting to be right one more time before sleep. You can smile at that companion, point toward the stream bank you have just passed, and say, we have already set it down. The night breeze flows through the sheer curtain, the sound of the fan like evenly rowing oars. A coolness brushes your nape making a pleasant shiver. Your breathing now round like a wheel without dent. If sleep begins pulling you deeper, let yourself slide with it, like a leaf that knows how to sink into water. And if you still want to linger a little, listen for the 3rd story coming near like a light at the hallway's end, a lamp standing before the wind. That lamp is not glorious like the sun, not exploding like fireworks, it is just a small golden glow enough to light a few steps. Enough for you to see where your hand rests, where your thought dwells. The wind may sway, the flame may tilt, but a hand softly shading, like the hand of mindfulness, is enough to keep the flame alive. And life, with its storms and unanswered messages, does not truly need you to battle all the wind. You only need to learn how to hold up your hand for a moment as big as a breath, so the flame weathers the shaking. So before we reach that lamp, do 3 rounds more of breathing. Inhale 4, hold 1, exhale 7. Each exhale imagine you are placing a weighty pebble on the floor. Its touch dry and crisp. When the 3rd pebble hits the floor you will feel yourself walking lightly, as if you have left an old backpack by the stream bank, turned and walked on without glancing back. And in that lightness, the story of the lamp will begin by itself. No call needed, like a familiar light that has always been in you. just waiting for a hand to shield it. Night grows deeper. Insects whisper thin threads sewing together the silences between distant bell tolls. And under the narrow porch of a temple clinging to a hillside, there is a small oil lamp, its bronze body aged. The wick darkened, the oil bowl clear like a moonbeam held in place, quivering before a current of wind slipping through the gaps in wooden slats. The novice monk changes the oil each evening, trims the wick just right. But tonight the wind rises suddenly. The flame leans like a tired bird, at times almost going out. The novice panics, waving arms fiercely to shield it, then opening them again for fear of smothering the flame. And in his heart a familiar fear surfaces. What if the flame goes out? What if darkness floods in? A teacher passing by, in old cloth robes brushing the edge of the table like a breath, stops without words, only raises a cupped hand very gently, not like a wall, but like a hovering eave. The flame stands still for a moment, less shaken. Then the teacher lightly turns the lamp lid, lowers the wick by a small amount, the golden light less harsh, the circle of warmth returning like a drop of honey. Do you see? The teacher says. The wind need not be chased away, only invited to pass through, and the flame need not be tall, only lasting. The shielding hand is not to battle the wind, but to let the flame survive the trembling. As for the wick, do not let it be too long. It will crave air and lunge, nor too short. It will feed on itself and snuff out. Practice this. One hand shields, one hand adjusts. The novice watches, suddenly seeing all his own unease inside himself like the quivering chain of that flame. When life's winds blast, a sharp word, a bitter memory, a broken promise, the harder you fan, the more the flame threatens to die. But if you lower the wick, fewer words, fewer thoughts, fewer clinging, and raise a mindful hand gently, the flame returns to gentleness. The teacher points at the oil bowl. The oil are those things that sustain you: breath, enough sleep, a hot meal, a morning that does not require winning. The wick is your body-mind. When tired, the wick becomes tangled. When peaceful, it is straight, the glass enclosure. Your discipline, not to imprison the flame, but to guard it from gusts. And the shielding hand is concentration, presence in full when it is needed. The light that filters out from all those is wisdom, unshowy, but enough to illuminate the next step. The novice places both hands on his knees, exhales, hears the flame give a small, tack, sound, the heart softening like a rope released from tautness. And the teacher continues, when wind is strong, do three things. Inhale knowing you are inhaling, exhale knowing you are exhaling, and lower the wick. Reduce 1 degree of craving in thoughts, hear the wind. Do not name it disaster. Call it simply wind. Then bring up the shielding hand, not forever shielding, only enough for the flame to pass through a tremor. They sit very long in that light about the size of a dining table. Outside the hills are ink dark but no longer scary because there is a small circle of gold at the center. And now you, who are lying listening, can kindle such a lamp right inside your own being. Imagine at your navel is the oil bowl. At your chest is the wick. At the sternum is the flame. Each time you inhale 4 counts. Picture a drop of oil being poured, cool and clear. Each time you exhale 6 or 7 counts. Form an invisible cupped hand before your chest. This is mindfulness, so the flame shakes less. If a thought arises that says, tomorrow I still have so much to do, then lower the wick. Drop a self-talk. Drop a comparison. Drop a handful of expectations. You may try the ritual, lighting the flame. Inhale. Quietly say, I am conscious. Exhale. Quietly say, I am letting go. Inhale. Adjust the wick, that is. Relax shoulders, forehead, jaw. Exhale. Cup the hand, that is. Lengthen the exhalation by 1 more beat, in this way 3 rounds. You will find the light not brighter but steadier, like genuine peace, not loud, not promising greatness, just enough to light the next thing in front of you. The teacher tells the novice, do not hope the flame to overcome the wind, only that the flame endure through wind, and when the wind passes, the lamp remains lamp, not proud for having survived the storm. That phrase places a small stone in the novice's center. Much of suffering comes from the ambition wanting everything to remain exactly as one will. One wishes for nights without wind, lamp without flicker, heart without disturbance, but life is a porch open to wind. And peace is not in stopping the wind but in learning how to let a flame live with wind. The teacher also teaches the 4 conditions of flame: oil, nourishing well; wick, body-mind cared for; enclosure, skillful boundary; shielding hand, steadiness of attention, missing one of the 4. The flame suffers in its own way: much oil but tangled wick. The flame smokes; straight wick with no oil. The flame wilts and goes out; oil and wick present but no boundary. The flame is buffeted by every gust; all present but no shielding hand in a storm. The flame might go out in one moment of thoughtlessness. Hearing this, you can review your day. Have you given oil, slept enough, eaten slowly, breathed deeply? Have you combed the wick, relaxed your shoulders, your back, your eyes? Have you placed the enclosure, turned off some notifications, closed doors at night? Have you prepared the shielding hand, a mantra of breath? Then lie still. Listen to the wind through the fan or breeze as a gentle wind. Eyes closing heavy. And realize something interesting. When you cease fighting what you cannot control, wind, rain, a late message, the flame in you naturally stops shaking. If in the middle of night you vaguely wake at some distant sound, do not rise to seek the cause. Do as the teacher did. Lower the wick, less interpretation. Cup the hand, longer exhale. Name the sound, wind. Then smile so the flame stands again. Soon the room seems to widen by half a foot because you have not piled invisible baggage called fear. You quietly give thanks to the small lamp, one that in its whole life does only one modest job, shining within reach, and allow yourself to drift down to deeper layers of sleep, where that light no longer requires you to guard it because it has become part of you like a new habit. When wind comes, breathe. When flame shakes, lower the wick. When heart is restless, cup the hand. And tomorrow, when you open your eyes, you will see the sky unchanged, but the way you pass through wind will be different. Each step calm, each thing within capacity, each word less sharp. And amidst what may be a noisy day, you will still carry a small circle of light, enough to illuminate the path just ahead. Enough to remind you that letting go is not abandoning. Letting go is allowing the flame to live true to its nature. And now, just continue breathing, letting distant wind become background, letting that small golden glow become a thin blanket. And if your eyelids are heavy, allow them to close completely. The lamp will keep vigil the night. You need only sleep peacefully. And now, when the lamp inside you has stood firm after a gentle shielding hand and one well-timed lowering of the wick, let the night close with a summarizing circle so soft, like folding a blanket after it has warmed you. We have passed through 3 images, enough for an entire season of peace. The empty bowl to learn to pour out. The burden on the wooden bridge to learn to lay down. The lamp against the wind to learn endurance through tremor. Gather those 3 lessons into a practice as compact as the tip of a finger. Know, accept, let go. Empty, place down, endure. Breathe in knowing you are breathing in. Breathe out allowing everything to pass. And between those 2 beats lies a very small gap. That is exactly where peace can slip in. Now, let your attention slow like a wheel no longer stuck. Imagine before your chest a mirror flat lake. Each thought still lingering, a name, an unfinished task, a word that makes you ache, just words written in dew on the water's surface. Inhale 4 counts, see the words appear, hold for 1 count, smile, exhale 6 or 7, a gentle wind rises and the words fade. The water smooths as though nothing had passed. Again, with a purer feeling, as though you have poured less in the bowl, put less on your shoulders, lowered the flame of craving. If any part of your body is still tight, call it wind. Do not call it trouble. The shoulder is wind. Breathe into the shoulder. Forehead is wind. Breathe into the forehead. Heart is wind. Breathe into the heart. Then let 3 keys lie neatly at the bedside of your consciousness as a new habit. When tomorrow meets something you thought was full, empty the bowl. When you encounter a worry you may carry all day, place it down at the far bank. When life's wind blows, do not challenge the storm. Just shield and lower the wick. 1 deeper out breath is enough. And tonight, you need no further effort. Tilt your body to a comfortable posture. Let the spine be a stream straight yet soft. Let the corner of the lips lift slightly as greeting an old friend called peace. And let sleep come in the way it likes, no rush. No asking, no judging. In the distant background, The temple bell will toll a very thin ring, one for body at ease, one for mind quiet, one for everything that passed to be returned. Then all sound will fade slowly. Only breath returning like a gentle tide. And you, like a leaf resting correctly in the river's heart, slide into the deepest layer of sleep, soft and bright. And before your whole self slips completely into the deepest sleep is a pebble resting on the streambed. Let me cover you with a blanket very light called compassion. A short ritual enough to untie a few final knots. Lie still as before. Place your hand lightly on your belly. Inhale 4 counts to feel the heart respond. Hold 1 count like a half-open porch door. Then exhale 6 or 7 counts to open the path for peace to enter. During those breaths, silently whisper these simple phrases so familiar you feel you have known them long ago. I wish to be peaceful, safe, healthy, gentle, released from burdens not needed. Then change the address, like shifting the lamp's light in the yard. Shine it on the face of someone dear to you. I wish you to be peaceful, to be safe, to be healthy, to be gentle, released from burdens not needed. Then into that circle include someone very ordinary, a mail carrier, the shopkeeper, the guard you pass by, and whisper, I wish you to be peaceful, safe, healthy, gentle, released from burdens not needed. Then, if your heart is warm enough, bring in someone who causes difficulty, not to judge, but to loosen the invisible hook between you with old stories. I wish you, though we differ, to be peaceful, safe, healthy, gentle, released from burdens not needed. Finally, as one opens wide the temple gate looking out to the night field, you send your blessing to all that breathes, humans, plants, creatures, rivers, wind, with a borderless wish. May all beings be peaceful, safe, healthy, gentle, all know how to let go. Each phrase you speak is a small boat departing the pier, and you need not watch where it goes. Simply breathe, letting the lake in your chest smooth more. If somewhere in your body there is still hardness, shoulder, neck, back, place there the 4 words, arrive, be, leave, let go. Inhale is arrive. Hold is be, exhale is leave, the rest is let go. Any thought knocking, what tomorrow must do, I should have, write it in white chalk on an imagined blackboard. Then exhale along. Watch an invisible wind erase the letters without you needing a cloth. Let the teaching that passed tonight quietly pave your path. Your bowl inside has learned emptiness so peace can be held. Your shoulders have learned to set down so the way home is light. The flame in your chest has learned endurance through tremor so it needs not defy wind. In the breaths between you may add a little ritual. Thank you, forgive me, I let go, goodbye, with yourself. Thank your body for carrying you through the day. Forgive the parts you forgot. Let go of small mistakes not worth carrying into night. Say farewell to old stories just returned. Then, like a devoted lampkeeper, you slowly close the door of consciousness with a soft countdown needing no full numbers. Just a few steps enough. 10, on the forehead the sky is empty. 9, the eyelids heavy as ripe fruit. 8, shoulders drop. 7, jaw and tongue relax. 6, breath returns deep to belly. 5, chest warms. 4, belly soft. 3, thighs and knees sink in mattress. 2, feet like leaves lying still. 1, a gentle wind passes and carries away all things not needed. When you reach here, you need not hear any more words, because the rest is the tender darkness and the streams of sound flowing in the far background. But if a faint awareness still remains, place it in a very short phrase, enough now, like placing a key grain on the small table beside the bed. So tomorrow when you wake you know you have passed through the night with empty hands, light shoulders, and a flame still warm. From now until end of video, the sound will continue to keep breath rhythm for you like the porch keeps the lamp, steady without noise, and you. Please drift deep, very deep, into where all these stories have already spoken for the rest. No, accept, let go. From here on, the rest of the night will be a quiet sound field spreading wide like a field of mist, no more words. Only layers beneath laid thin and taking turns. Like the breath rhythms of the earth. 3 bell tones at first opening out a space just enough for all the echoes of the day to fall away. Then a distant stream sound gliding in like a silver thread, gently woven with the wind slipping through slender bamboo stalks, at the 10th minute. A bamboo flute slides in 3 short notes then withdraws like a considerate thought. leaving the soundtrack of water and wind to keep time. By the 20th minute, a single wooden block gives one sparse beat like the footstep of a night guard passing a porch. Then melts into darkness at 30 minutes. A very thin bell tolls, short and far away, reminding your body that you need not awaken to hear, only to let it pass like a gentle wave, from 31 to 45 minutes. The stream sound becomes a little rounder, as if more water from a new source. But then the background quiets again. Only wind playing leaves thinly. Every 7 or 8 minutes a night bird calls. Enough that the mind has a distant anchor without dragging you back to the shore of awareness, past the 45-minute mark. The bell rings very softly again, this time a note more than half lower. Then it fades quickly like a light just enough to guide. In the first half of the second hour, the wind thins. The stream lays itself deeper under the earth, higher tones subside. Lower tones deepen, so the deeper layers of sleep have a soft and warm ground. Like an extra blanket added without weight, at minute 70. A very thin rain band passes far off, just a few drops hitting old tile roofs, then retreats, leaving an imagination of fresh cool memory. At minute 80 the bamboo flute returns in a slow falling triad. Then stops. From here no more musical instruments. Only the self-regulating world of nature. By 90 minutes, the third bell speaks softly like a period. Then everything steps back one pace. Overall volume drops a level. Wave amplitude lessens. The sound field becomes even, like the heartbeat of someone sleeping deeply, in the third portion of night. From minute 91 to 2 hours and a half. Stream and wind take turns leading every 15 minutes. When stream rises, wind subsides. When wind thickens, stream recedes, so the nervous system no longer has to guard what is changing. For all change is gentle and expected, like tides coming and going on time. Occasionally there will be a knock on stone, like two pebbles in a stream striking each other, reminding you, though you may not hear, that everything is stabilizing by its own law. You need not do more. After the 2.5 hour mark, a layer of wordless, inhale, exhale, is woven in, every 8 stream beats rounding then opening, mimicking the rising and falling belly. So deep sleep yet has a benevolent companion, nearing 3 hours. The soundscape drops another step. High frequencies brushed smooth like dust removed from a mirror, leaving only low and mid-low bands enough for the body to continue quiet repair. At 3 hours and 15 minutes. The wooden block gives a single beat again, much farther, lower, more sparse, then silence, yielding to a region of almost silence, where only gentle wind and occasional rain memory drops remain. As when temple evening service has just ended, at 3 hours 30. No more bells. Instead a span of nothing happening, lasting 15 minutes, strictly speaking. Many minute things are happening but no event worthy of name. This span for harmless dreams to right themselves. Then at 3 hours 45, the stream thins as though entering underground river. Wind likewise turns sheer like a gauze veil. And one final note of bamboo appears, not to awaken but to bid farewell, then withdraws, from here to the end of video. The sound background fades down nearly to nothing. So if you awaken in middle of night from turning, you will encounter only a friendly empty sound sky calling you back to sleep like a leaf finding its stream. The entire sound field remains safe and steady. No sudden peaks, no prominent instrument, no human voices, no hidden message, only natural materials passed down with humankind over thousands of years. Bell, wind, water, wood and a touch of rain, and if somewhere in the sleep you happen to remember the blessings just spoken, the sound field will receive them and let them drift gently like paper boats. When the final moment comes, volume drops gently like dust. No exclamation, no wake-up ending, only a streak of silence long enough to make room for your own dawn. When you open your eyes, the 3 lessons of night will already lie in your chest like 3 tidy things. An empty bowl to remember to pour less. A yoke already removed to remember to set down. And a lamp knowing how to live with wind to remember endurance through trembling. Now, let night do the work of night. And you, just sleep deeply. If at this moment you are still floating between a layer of dream and a layer of waking, like a leaf not yet decided to lie at the inner or outer bank of the stream, then I will bring you a final stretch of quiet through the garden of interior being, where there are 3 small things you have received tonight: an empty bowl, a removed yoke, and a lamp that knows how to live with wind. Imagine you step through a bamboo gate already open. The earth under your feet soft and clean after rain. Scent of moss and dry wood mingling like a warm breath. At the threshold a low table. On it an open clay jar. Beside it a paper with clear writing. Deposited. What has not been released will be returned in the morning where needed. You quietly drop into the jar a long exhale. A small regret. A plan unfinished. Hearing a click, crisp like two pebbles touching under a streambed. Then cover it loosely with a dried bodhi leaf. Smile knowing you have done a kind act for the heart. Walk a few more steps. You come to a wooden veranda where wind slides evenly through wall cracks. On the mat is placed an empty bowl, the thin moonlight resting quietly in its glaze, a removed yoke laid across like a dash that no longer carries burden, and a yellow oil lamp neither high nor low. You sit down, sitting so that your spine is a straight stream. Shoulders the soft banks of grass, place your hand on your belly. Feel breath rise and fall as the hammer in a forge beats lightly on a thin steel bar called worry. Each beat another cooling, softening, shaping. Now try the ritual, 3 lifts, 3 placements, 3 closings. Lift a noisy thought. Pour it into the bowl, so it ceases being mine and becomes thought. Lift a piece of heaviness from your shoulder. Place it on the removed yoke. To learn its new name is finished. Lift a flutter of restlessness. Cup your hand lightly around the lamp, so the flame endures without extinguishing. Do this 3 rounds slowly. Each round lasting 7 exhaling breaths. When the 3rd round ends, you rise, but not really need to rise, for in imagination the movement is only a soft closing at the sternum, and walk toward a room opened by darkness. There is a bed woven by stream sounds, a pillow stuffed with gentle wind, a blanket sewn by the scent of old rain. You lie down and see that you are just one name, peace, if still a thin thread of the day winds around your wrist. Turn your wrist in one silent circle saying, tomorrow. Then let the thread slip. If in mind flashes the face of someone loved or hard, place them under the small yellow lamp on the porch. The lamp will provide light. You need only say, peace for you. Then the thin sounds of outside life begin to recede from stage. Like musicians leaving after overture. Leaving you and the rising belly breath going, in, cool, out, warm, like 2 rivers meeting beneath the streambed no one sees. You may count down a gentle stairway. But this time not 10 but 7, because sleep needs no many ritual. 7. Forehead empty. 6. Eyes heavy. 5. Shoulders release. 4. Jaw and tongue loose. 3. Chest calm. 2. Belly deep. 1. Whole self like an old boat slipping into a sheltered cove. Anchor not needed because the waves are gentle. In that cove what still ripples will find its flat place. A worry named doing. A regret named experience. A desire named breath. And should night take a turn, sound of distant car. A memory visiting. You will have within you that inner lamp ready at the sternum. Just lower the wick a bit, 1 fewer thought. Cup the hand 1 beat, exhale longer by a second. Everything stands steady again like bamboo bent by wind that does not break, and the clay jar at the bamboo gate, you need not worry. It is watched by the thin bell and a cat whose fur is the color of smoke, mourning. If needed, you will come back to take what is yours, but for the most part, you will not wish to. Because what is essential will have soaked through into peace like water through earth. Here, if still a thread of awareness remains, like the last moonbeam yet to slip off the roof eaves, send it into a pledge soft as a feather's quill. Tonight enough. Morning simple. Then let that phrase drop into the empty bowl. Hear the sound of nothing, and let that very nothing lull you into deepest sleep. Where every teaching simplifies to one movement, breathing, there. No more, I must. Only, I am. A still water surface. A leaf lying in its proper place. A lamp not needing to conquer wind, when some dawn comes touching your eyelids. You will remember the way out through the bamboo gate. Lift the clay jar. Remove the lid. Smile because it is empty. Take the bowl of a new day with empty hands. Sling over shoulder the invisible strap you've undone. And walk, light, slow, clear, but that is tomorrow's work, now. Please sleep, like a river that knows how to rest in its own bed. So through breath, through the ritual of laying down, and through gentle layers of sound, you have traveled a long path into the night. like a traveler slowly stepping deeper into a garden where every path leads to a story waiting, and now. Rather than trying to force sleep faster, you only need to release yourself into the telling, because these Zen stories are like little boats. You do not have to row. You only need to sit quietly, and they will carry you across to the far shore. In the moments to come, we will enter into short yet deep snippets of stories. Simple images but resonant, each as a pearl hidden in a shell of sand, opening at just the moment you need it. Sometimes it is the image of a Zen master pouring tea until it overflows, reminding us that to receive the new, the heart must first be empty. Sometimes it is the figure of a monk carrying a girl across a stream, to show that burdens lie not on the shoulders but in the mind. Sometimes it is the oil lamp trembling before wind, yet thanks to a cupped hand remains bright, so that peace is seen not in driving away storms but in keeping the light within you steady. Each story will unfold slowly, each detail like a drop of water seeping into thirsty earth, not rushingly, not loudly. You may let your mind follow each image, or simply hear the telling as a layer of lullaby waves. If sleep drifts you away in the middle, do not regret, because these stories do not demand you remember. They only need to sow a seed of peace in your subconscious. Now, imagine you are sitting in a thatched hermitage on a mountain. Outside, the forest rain falls softly. In the hermitage, a small flame, a steaming pot of tea, and the teacher begins to tell. You close your eyes, your back straight, your breath even, and let each word fall like petals on the surface of a stream. The first story now opens. The mountain rain falls quietly like a thin curtain. The hermitage perched on the slope glows with a red spark in the kitchen fire. The scent of burning pine mingles with the fresh tea leaves just uncovered. The scholar, his robe still bearing road dust, kneels before a low bamboo table, spreads before him letters of recommendation, theses, pages densely written, a garden of text just past the rainy season. His hand trembling not from cold but from eagerness to attain higher learning. The Zen master sits opposite, spine like bamboo, eyes deep yet bright, asks not a word about name or rank, praises not a word about achievement, only tilts the teapot and pours tea into the guest's cup with slowness like pouring a ray of light. Water rising, to the brim, then overflowing. A drop of hot tea falls on the table, rolls across a bamboo crack, drops into a dark clay basin with a tack sound. The scholar startles. Master, it is full, do not pour more. The Zen master continues pouring, head slightly tilted as listening to rain, then places teapot down. You came here with a cup already full. Even the smallest offering will overflow. Immediately the room widens with a new silence, as if someone opened another door looking out to forest. The scholar bows head, heart pounding like rain gathering at eaves. But that speed reveals a weariness long accumulated. He has traveled far, selling his cup, while rarely using it to drink. The master does not blame, only takes the scholar's cup and gives to him, saying, "Go out under the rain, and pour out what is inside this cup into the stream." The scholar takes the cup, steps out on the porch, rain falling like thousands of cold threads. He lowers the cup, golden brown tea merging with skydrops, a thin steam rising then lost, returning inside. The master says, "Come, let me pour again." He hands over the cup. The master pours. This time the sound entirely different, like a small stream through stone gaps. Not overflowing, not hurrying, just enough. He drinks his first sip, feeling a path of water open from throat down into belly, where for too long he held only theory. The teacher asks, "What is a cup for?" The scholar replies immediately like a pupil, "To hold." The master nods. So to hold you need emptiness, to learn you need space for the new. To be peaceful you need space for the old to step out. The scholar's face flushes, as one touched gently on a sore place. The teacher points to a corner of the room where a bamboo basket contains shards of broken bowls, fragments of green glaze, dark pottery, saying, "Children in the village bring here the broken shards. When idle I sit and polish. Join them into a new bowl. Try reassembling a shard inside you." How to reassemble, master? By seeing which broken pieces in your life you refuse to acknowledge. The scholar touches a cold glazed shard. Memories arise. A night working too late, missing a chance to hear his daughter practice. A debate he won by argument but lost by compassion. A long grudge with an old friend over an unintentional word. Each recollection appears. He places it into the basket, hears it clink softly, and suddenly both pathetic and funny recognizes the basket has never had a name. Just naming it lightly would have its weight. The master gives him a straw broom, saying, "Sweep the porch from the doorstep to the base of the bamboo. Do not sweep the whole forest." He steps outside. The rain has thinned. The porch dotted with leaves. He sweeps a narrow path. Each broom stroke a long outward breath. At the path's end wind blows more leaves new. He watches that patch of leaves, briefly annoyed, then laughs because he understands the exercise. Life will always drop more. What you do is keep one clean path enough for the present step, returning inside. The master places before him three things: a small stone, a dry bodhi leaf, and a thin thorny cord, saying, "Lay down one thing, rename one thing, and tie one thing." The scholar, surprised, the master suggests, "Lay down what you have held that you do not need. Rename one thing you have been calling wrongly, and tie up one habit you let become tangled." He thinks long, then places the stone on the table. That is, the need to be recognized always. The teacher nods. He picks up the leaf, writes with his fingernail on its vein the word failure, then blows gently, renaming it to a lesson tried. The leaf no longer heavy, he takes the cord, ties up scattered brushes, a promise to sleep enough. For so long he praised himself, diligent, but really was craving. The teacher says, "Do you see? Emptiness is not nothing. Emptiness is having space for what is needed in right time." Then the master pours remaining tea onto the ground. Fragrance rising. The tea stain spreads in shape of bowl on earth. Master with a stick draws a circle around the stain. Asks, "What is this circle?" Scholar replies, "A bowl." Master nods. "It is boundary. A bowl is only a bowl when it has sides. The mind is only mind when it knows where its boundary is. That how full you have poured into yourself, and whether you dare let some overflow out." He becomes silent, remembering nights speaking over others for fear of silence, remembering thick pages of citations for fear of being seen shallow. The teacher says, "Tonight when you return to the guest hermitage, write a blank page, leave it blank in the center. Draw a thin frame around it. That is the lesson of letting empty. Tomorrow morning you will be surprised that that blank page teaches you more than a thick book, because emptiness calls the essential in." Rain fades away like clouds withdrawing to the valley. The yellow oil lamp stands still as though shielded by a hand. The Zen master pours more tea. This time neither filling nor emptying, just balanced. Then asks, "What do you most want to learn here?" The scholar, who used to have 100 questions, suddenly has just one. "Master, I want less noise in my head." The teacher smiles. "Then learn three things: rename, lay down, empty out." Rename must double you and into. Just understand. Lay down one boast in the day. Empty 10 minutes of silence without screens each morning. Do these evenly 7 days. The cup will taste tea before recognizing its name. The teacher hands him a rough clay bowl, inside glazed ivory with a small chip, saying, "Take back to hermitage. Tonight place the bowl under the porch. If rain still comes, let the bowl catch it. In morning pour that water into a cup for me." He bows, returns amid the warm damp scent of wood, places bowl under porch. That night only a few sparse raindrops, enough for surface of bowl to have a thin layer of water like a greeting. Early morning, he pours that water into the teacher's cup. Teacher drinks, says, "Do you see? Water from sky has no smell. So drinking it you taste only coolness." Empty mind is the same. Meeting things reveals only their true flavor, uncolored by you. The scholar bows, suddenly understands why his tired legs yet peace was always ahead. He carried too much of his own smell. Teacher closes teapot. Saying is concluding a breath. Lesson today is not forget everything, do not forget, but move aside what is unneeded, move the useless to margin. Tomorrow sweep porch. Sweep only one path when speaking. Speak only one intention when thinking. Keep only one question. Does this fill the cup in vain? If yes, pour out. You will see when the cup is empty. Even one drop is of richness, but when full, even a river becomes excess. Outside the door, clouds stretch into thin bands. Forest after rain green as though just wiped clean. The scholar embraces the clay bowl. Steps off the porch. Hears foot on dry wood lightly like a small period at end of a long sentence. And knows that the next sentence, if any, must begin with a space. The dirt road after the afternoon rain curves like a brown silk ribbon stretching across the hillside. Bamboo on both sides whispering, exhaling that pale green scent. And two monks walk leisurely, their brown robes stained wet, but their eyes gentle and bright. After walking some distance, they come to a fast stream crossing the path. Water from upstream has just rushed down. The creek bed full of slick stones. And the stone steps that once served as a crossing are now submerged under murky water. On the bank a young woman stands, in a thin linen dress, arms holding a basket of goods, hesitating, her eyes fixed on the water as though seeing an abyss, her feet afraid to move forward. The younger monk, without hesitation, bows in greeting, then quietly says, "Allow me to help," lifting her across the stream with a movement as natural as lifting a flower beaten by wind. Water laps at his knees, cold soaking the hem of his robe. Each stone underfoot clacks like old questions wanting to test him. But he steps firmly, his breath steady. He places the young woman down on the far bank, smiles and nods, no extra word, then resumes walking, looking up at the bamboo. His posture as before. They walk many more steps, the late sun sprinkling gold dust on their shoulders. Birds straying from their flocks calling out loud. Yet from the stream's bank to the bamboo grove, the older monk walks quietly, his lips pressed together, holding some discomfort inside. Finally he stops, furrows his brow, and says, "How can you carry a girl on your shoulders? We vowed to uphold the precepts, have you forgotten?" The younger monk stands under bamboo shade, turns to look back at the stream now fading into dusk, then looks at his own dry hands, and smiles, replying, "I set her down at the very bank of the stream. And you? Why are you still carrying her all the way here?" The reply drops into silence like a pebble falling to the bottom of a deep well, not echoing, but its aftershocks spreading in the older monk's heart. He stands dumbstruck, suddenly feeling his back heavy as if bearing an invisible burden. And he realizes that throughout the many miles just past, it was not the wet robe or slippery path that wore him down, but his mind holding tight to an image, a judgment, an imagined girl, seated high in his thoughts. Wind rustles through the bamboo grove, sounding like the soft laughter of mountains, reminding that true burdens do not rest on shoulders but in the mind. He breathes out slowly, letting out a light confession. "Truly I have carried what I did not need." Both monks continue walking. This time the older monk steps lighter, as someone who has just set a heavy log off his shoulder. And you, who are listening in the night, can also try to look back at the girl you have carried unconsciously for many years, an old mistake, an unforgiven word, a failure not yet released. Imagine standing before a stream. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, lay that image down on the bank. Then turn away, not looking back. The road ahead will feel lighter by many miles. For what we lay down in the right place dissolves into the stream. All that remains are feet at ease. Stepping toward dawn, the dirt road after the afternoon rain curves like a brown silk ribbon across the hillside. Bamboo on both sides whispering, breathing out that faint green scent. Two monks walk slowly, their brown robes blotched with wetness, but their eyes gentle and bright. After a while they reach a rushing stream crossing their path. Water from upstream has just poured down. The creek bed full of slippery stones, and the stepping stones that once marked the crossing are now submerged in murky water. On the bank, a young woman stands, in a thin cloth dress, holding a basket of goods, looking at the stream as though seeing an abyss, her feet not daring to step forward. The younger monk, without hesitation, bows, then quietly says, "Let me help," carrying her across the stream as naturally as lifting a flower beaten by the wind. The water hits his knees, cold penetrating the hem of his robes. Each stone underfoot clicks like old questions challenging him. But his steps are sure, his breathing even. He sets the young woman down on the far bank, smiles with a nod, no extra words, then resumes walking, looking up at the bamboo. Posture as before. They walk more miles, the late sun scattering golden dust on their shoulders. Stray birds calling far off. Yet from the stream's bank to the bamboo grove, the older monk walks in silence, lips pressed together, holding a prick in his heart, the precept unbroken. But the discomfort still there like a small stone under his shoe. At last he stops, furrows his brow, and speaks. How could you carry a woman on your shoulders? We vowed to observe our rules. Did you forget them? The younger monk stands in the bamboo shade, turns to gaze back at the stream now dimmed by dusk, then looks at his own dry hands, smiles, and answers. I placed her down at the bank of the stream. And you? Why are you still carrying her all the way here? The answer falls into silence like a pebble slipping to the bottom of a deep well, not echoing. But it's after ripples spreading through the older monk's heart. He stands frozen, suddenly aware of a weight on his back, as if an invisible burden he has carried too long. And he realizes that along these many miles, it was not the wet robe or slippery path that tired him, but his mind holding tight to an image, a judgment, an imagined girl, perched in his thoughts. A breeze whistles through the bamboo grove, sounding like the soft laughter of the forest, reminding that real burdens are not borne on shoulders but in mind. He breathes out slowly, letting a light confession slip. Truly I have carried what was not needed. They continue walking. This time the older monk steps lighter, as one who has just laid down a heavy log. And you, who listen in the night, can also look back at the girl you unconsciously carried for many years, an old mistake, an unforgiven word, a failure not yet let go. Imagine you stand beside a stream, inhale deeply, and as you exhale, lay that image on the bank, then turn away, not looking back. The road ahead will feel lighter by many miles. For what we place down in the right place dissolves into the stream, only the feet remain free. Stepping toward dawn, that night the seasonal wind came early, climbing the hillside like a pack of wildcats, slipping into all the cracks in the wood, making the door of the hermitage clatter as though someone outside wanted to speak. On the narrow porch the novice monk sat before a small oil lamp, its brass body darkened, wick black as a letter written too long, raising a hand to shield, then removing it, the flame tilting like a boat nearly capsizing yet not. The teacher came forward, not to reproach, only sitting down beside him, voice slow like a drop of oil falling. Tai Che is not to fight the wind. Tai Che is for the flame to pass through one tremor. A wick too high craves air and lunges. A wick too low eats itself. You learn to lower the wick by a sliver. Then breathe with the flame, he said. Then he turned the lamp's cover lightly, lowered the wick just a notch, the golden light less harsh, its glow warming again like honey melting. Inside the main hall there was a ritual lighting of 108 lamps, and the novice was entrusted to carry the flame from the porch to light the first lamp. From there the flame would migrate along each wick, like a friend walking through 108 houses. Outside the porch the wind howled, the rain thick like a heavy curtain. Teacher said, you carry the flame as you would carry a baby, not too tight, not too loose. Step slowly as if walking in the mother's womb. Breathe 4 counts, then take 1 step. Hold 1. On the 7th count set the heel down. Each breath is an invisible cupped hand. The novice cradled the lamp, stepped over the threshold, wind rushing in like a mischievous dog. Teacher followed, his hand not touching but like a moving Eve alongside. Reaching the main hall, the golden Buddha statue sat still in a sea of deep green darkness. Scent of sandalwood and dried straw mingling into a memory never known before. The novice placed the lamp under the main candle frame. The moment the wick touched flame it flickered a thin purple glow, then turned gold. Like a soft response, I am present. 108 lamps. The novice walked. The teacher stood distantly watching. Wind outside still chasing tiles, but inside only the sound of the novice's footfalls. Slow, steady, as though a clock hand moving through a long night. When he reached lamp number 49, a gust blew through a window crack. The whole hall trembled lightly. Several younger flames flickered. Novice panicked, raising hand to shield 3 or 4 flames at once. Smoke billowed, eyes stung. From the back of the hall the teacher quietly spoke, voice laying down on the floor. 1 hand shields, 1 heart is still. Do not shield the whole sea. Shield the right place. Lower the wick in your mind now. The novice paused, exhaled, as though lowering an invisible wick in his chest. Then shielded 1 flame, fire steadied, shielded another nearby, fire steadied, stepped 2 more steps, fires all still. He understood. The strength to protect fire was not in the arm, but in breath holding the arm. When he completed the 108th lamp, the whole hall glowed like a miniature star vault, but not blinding, just enough to light a path between the mats. Teacher said, "Do you see, oil is nourishing. Wick is body-mind. Enclosure is discipline. Shielding hand is concentration. And the light that shines out is wisdom. Lack any one. The flame suffers in its own way. Much oil but tangled wick, smoky flame. Straight wick with no oil, flame wilts. Oil and wick without enclosure. Wind will play havoc. All present but no shielding hand in storm. Flame goes out in a moment of carelessness, so it is with human life." The novice sat on a wooden step, watching the 108 flames like 108 small heartbeats. Thinking of times he challenged wind, angered by criticism, raised his voice in argument, held in his mind a big fan called, "Must be right," only to have the fire inside smoke. The teacher gave him a low lamp cover, glass shield. Said, "Take it out to the porch for a test. Real wind and real flame." The novice placed the lamp outside, put on the shield, wind flung sideways. Flame bent but did not go out. The shield did not smother flame, only allowed flame shape so it would not lean uselessly. Enclosure, joy, is that shield. The teacher said, not a prison, but form. So the heat is not wasted. So the light shines in the right place. At that moment, there was a knock at the gate. A woman carrying a sick child came seeking a lamp to light her house whose hearth had died. The teacher nodded, had the novice take the lamp. They walked along village paths soaked wet, wind tugging robes as though trying to steal the flame. The novice remembered the lesson. Breathe 4 counts, take 1 step. Hold 1, feel the wind. Exhale 7, cup the hand. They entered the house. The clay stove had warm ashes. The novice lit a dry straw. The straw kindled gradually, green flicker then golden, sound crackling like a child's first words. The woman wept, not because of the lamp, but because something had been switched on in the empty room. On the way back, the teacher said softly, "You saw the flame pass through your hands yet not belong to you. Holding flame means doing what is needed in the moment, then returning it where it is needed more." Back at the hermitage, the wind had eased. The novice lit the porch lamp again. Noticed the wick was a little shorter after the evening's work. In his heart there was a stretched warmth. The teacher offered a small exercise. Every night before sleep, name 3 winds of the day by their true names. Criticism. Late email. Delayed plan. For each wind do 3 things. Lower the wick, drop 1 self-talk. Cup your hand, 1 longer out breath. Set the shield, do not open the app. Do not reply immediately, listen for the flame standing. Then sleep. The next night a real storm came. The roof of the temple rumbled. The cypress leaves whipped like flags in battle. In the main hall the 108 lamps danced, some went out. Novice ran to strike matches. Hands trembling. Teacher placed a hand gently on the novice's shoulder. Said softly like to a frightened kitten, "Do not rush to make sky. Only be a keeper of flame. Relight each lamp without complaint of the wind. Each lamp that stands is 1 seed of courage watered." They walked through the hall, each lamp glowing again. The storm lost not because it was weak, but because it met someone who did not fight. In the morning the sky washed clean as if changing clothes. The courtyard shimmered with rainwater. The 108 lamps remained. A bit lower, a bit more golden, but very much more peaceful. As though for one who has passed through a long night without counting merit. The teacher asked, "What did you learn last night?" The novice replied, eyes still on the nearest flame. "I learned that peace is not in driving the wind away, but in knowing how to lower the wick, cup the hand, set the shield, at the right time, at the right place, and I learned that there are nights when you cannot preserve the whole hall. But you can still keep 1 flame, enough for the next flame to light from it." Teacher smiled. "Then you have learned to sleep among storms." From that day on, whenever life brings a wind, a harsh comment, a late message, a broken plan, the novice no longer rushes to build a wall to close. He lowers the wick inside his chest. Cups the hand with 1 long breath. Sets the shield of discipline gently around what needs doing. Then watches the small golden light stand still, enough to light 1 step, then another. And if tonight, you who hear this story are startled by some wind that wakes you in the night, remember the novice's lesson. Name the wind. Lower the wick by a notch. Cup the hand for one breath. Exhale 7. Do not chase. Do not preach. Do not need to win, for true flame does not need to be grand, only to endure. Story 4. The last leaf on the temple roof. That afternoon, the autumn wind blew backward up from the valley, carrying the smell of damp straw and distant kitchen smoke. The sun poured a thin layer of honey light over the mossy tiles. And along the roof's ridge, poised like the final note of a fading melody, there was a last leaf of the season clinging by a slender stem, half still green, half already golden, swaying with the breath of the wind. The novice monk, having just swept the courtyard clean, looked up and saw that leaf, and stood very still, his heart tightening as though if he blinked, the season would fall away. He wanted to hold autumn in place, to tether a moment forever. He ran and fetched a red thread, climbed a worn wooden ladder, intending to tie the leaf stem firmly to a tile. The teacher passed by, carrying a bundle of dry firewood as if it were a sleeping cat, looked up in silence, then gently called, "Come down, my child," his voice not reproachful, only like a hand laid on the shoulder. The novice froze, thread still in hand, whispering, "I fear it will fall. If it falls, I think autumn ends immediately. The slow afternoons will fold up. The insect songs will stop. I cannot bear that." The teacher leaned the firewood against the wall, sat down on the wooden threshold, and pointed to the courtyard where the tiles were still warm. "Sit with me. Let us breathe first." They sat together, the wind moving past the porch like a courteous guest, the bamboo wind chime in the corner sounding a long note. The teacher said, "Inhale. Silently say, arrive. Exhale. Silently say, depart." Between arrive and depart is remain. Every season has those 3 words. It is only that your eyes often want to linger on just one. The novice looked at the roof. The leaf tilted again. Its shadow flickered thin on the wall, long or short depending on each breath of wind. The teacher continued, "Do you see how large your hand is? It can shelter a flame, lift a bowl, but not hold a season. For things that exceed the hand, sky, wind, clouds, age, we learn to be present with them, not force them to stand still." The novice gripped the red thread. Silent, the teacher took the thread, placed it on the novice's knee, joking softly, "This thread is to bind your habit of wanting to keep, not to bind the leaf." Then he rose, brought a low chair from behind the porch and a slim notebook, saying, "Let us practice counting the colors of the leaf with each breath. Look at the leaf and name exactly the color it is: green, yellow, brown, without adding sad. Should stay. When wind shakes it, say wind. When the leaf is still, say rest. 10 breaths this way. You will see what needs to be held is not the leaf, but the ability to see." They counted. 1. Pale green at the edge. 2. Golden yellow in the leaf's heart. 3. A small brown blotch like an ink stain. 4. Wind. 5. Rest. 6. Wind strong. The leaf sways almost 7 parts. 7. Still, as though someone gently cupped it. 8. Yellow thickening past half. 9. A small tear at the bottom edge. 10. Wind. When the 10th breath ended, the teacher said, "Now we add a practice of yielding place on each exhale. Invite something new into the courtyard. As though opening the gate for a guest, invite wind, invite cloud, invite birdsong, invite dusk. When your home is full of guests just in season, the leaf will know when it must go without needing someone to chase it away. And you will also know when to walk it to the gate without needing tears." The novice followed. The courtyard seemed to widen with each breath, like gates opening, the evening light drifting, the color on the leaf shifting like pages of a slow book. There were moments he wanted to rush up and tie the leaf stem again because the wind grew harsh. But the teacher's glance anchored him like a small anchor. "Lower the wick in your heart," that phrase, from the lesson on the lamp, suddenly fitting. Then what was unavoidable came, as it always comes since time immemorial. A long gust from the valley rose. The leaf's stem shook fiercely. Its veins trembled. The leaf left the roof in the most graceful way a leaf can leave, not by tugging, not by storm, but in a fall equal to its own weight, drifting in a small arc, then landing very gently into the palm of the waiting hand of the novice. They exhaled together, as if bidding farewell to a friend. The novice looked at the leaf in his hand, saw that it was still itself. Only it had changed place, from roof tile to hand, and soon after, from hand to earth. The teacher said, "Autumn does not fall out of you. Autumn simply passes through you. If you try to bind autumn to the roof, you will miss autumn passing through the garden, over the river, in the song of insects tonight." The novice smiled, tears glimmering like thin water in the eye. Asked, "What should I do with this leaf now?" The teacher replied, "Let it be a tea leaf for the teapot tonight. Then in the morning bury it under the Bodhi tree. Return it to where it needs to be." That is letting go with ritual. Observe, name well, send off, return. That night, when the stove fire glowed, they placed the leaf atop the pot's mouth, warm steam rising through its veins, a very faint fragrance like old paper. On the first sip of tea, the novice found something strange, not the taste of the leaf, but the pleasant emptiness in his mouth, taste of something that has been sent off rightly. Before sleep, the teacher gave the novice back the red thread. Tie it around your wrist. A reminder. When you want to bind the world, first bind your own habit. Then he taught a small nightly game. Each night, choose something from the day you misnamed, lost, when it was really, change, broken, when it was really, ended well, write the true name on a scrap of paper. Fold it into the rename jar. At week's end bring the jar out to read. You will see what you have let go by simply naming well. The next morning the novice carried the leaf, now a little more dry, to the base of the Bodhi tree. Dug a small hole no bigger than a fingertip. Placed the leaf in like a paper boat. Covered it with earth, smoothed it flat, stood up, and suddenly felt the wind above him different, not wind that takes away, but wind that carries. From that time on, whenever there is something, last, the final helping from the stove, sunset's last ray, last day of a year, last word of a conversation, the novice remembers the leaf's lesson. Look, breathe, name truthfully, send off, return, and if tonight you, listener, hold one last leaf inside, a relationship thinned, a task overdue, a youth at its edge, place it in the palm of your breath. Count its color without judgment. Quietly invite night's sounds and wind through your home. And when it falls in its own season, you need only be present to say a sufficient phrase. Thank you. Go in peace. Tomorrow, if you wish, you may bury it under a tree near home. A small ritual to teach your heart that letting go is not abandoning. Letting go is returning. And strangely, at that moment, a new space, empty yet warm, opens within you. Enough room for the first leaf of the next season to come. Softly like a greeting. Story 5: The Guest and the Hazy Mirror. That morning was misty. The sun was like a coin hidden behind a thin veil. In the meditation hall hung an old oval bronze mirror, its frame etched with Bodhi leaves worn down by time. The surface was clouded, as though the breath of night still lingered there. A guest arrived from far away, his robes soaked with road mist. He knocked at the door, saying he wished to see his true unchanging face, the face that neither arises nor ceases. The teacher opened, invited him in, poured tea, no lectures, just pointed to the mirror. Look. The guest stood before it, saw there a slightly distorted face, brown spots like freckles, eyes lined with weariness, and frowned. If this is my true portrait, it is too ugly. The teacher smiled gently, handed a coarse cloth and a bowl of warm water. Before judging the mirror or the face, try wiping away the mist first. The guest dipped the cloth, placed it on the mirror, wiped in small circles as though painting the sky. With each circle, a corner of light emerged. But as he wiped, parts of the haze kept appearing, like wiping but still being haunted by old self. Impatient, he snapped. Why is the mirror not clear yet? The teacher placed down the teapot, voice kind like newly boiled water, because you are wiping the mist with impatience. But the old dust you have not touched yet, mist is of night. It clears with a moment, dust is of the years. You must allow careful seeing, not rubbing, and remember, a misty mirror does not mean ugly face. The mirror is only telling a tale of weather and time. The guest fell silent, leaned in, noticing two different things. The thin fog of mist, like breath, and small dust grains clustered in circles. He changed his hand, gentler, moved the cloth more slowly. Each grain of dust lifted like memories finally named. The mirror's surface gradually revealed an aged gold gleam. The teacher said, "The mind is also a mirror. Mist is the worry that just arrived. A light flicker, dust is old habit. Clingings you have not recognized. Do not use a burning flame of impatience to clear the mist. You might burn your cloth. Do not use anger to brush the dust. You might scratch the mirror." When he reached the middle of the mirror, the guest paused, because he saw not just his own face but the frame of the door behind him. A corner of the courtyard, a bamboo branch, a strip of sky, mirror not saying, "I." Mirror simply receiving and returning. In that instant, the wish to see his unchanging face became a thin smile, as though he discovered that what was being sought was not some perfect form but the ability to reflect without holding on. The teacher produced a piece of plain paper and said, "Write on this 3 words of dust in you. 3 habits of attachment that dim the mirror. Then place them in that jar. Call it the dust jar." The guest picked up a pen, hesitated, then wrote, "Need to be more. Fear of loss, wanting praise." Folded the paper, dropped it into the jar. Hearing pages touch as raindrops in a pot. The teacher nodded. "From now on, each night before sleep, wave the cloth once for body, once for mind. Body, wash your face with warm water for 3 breaths. Wipe slowly. Mind, close your eyes for 3 breaths. Note what mist came today, a late email, a cold look, what dust from long ago, a pride, a need to be recognized. Name it, breathe out. Imagine blowing the mist away and touching lightly the dust to let it go. If you wipe enough, the mirror becomes clear." The guest asked, "If the mirror is foggy again in the morning, what then?" The teacher smiled. "Good, that means it is still alive. A mirror that is never foggy is when it no longer breathes, mind likewise. Having mist and dust is part of living. Your task is not to keep the mirror perfect forever, but to learn how to clean it rightly without frustration." Then a novice brought a small tray under the mirror. On the tray lay 4 objects, a feather, a smooth pebble, a bowl of water, and a candle. The teacher said, "These 4 are to help you remember 4 ways of cleaning: the feather, for new mist; light and gentle, the stone, for dust old; pressing a bit heavier but still patient, water, to keep the heart moist, not hardened when touching what is difficult; the candle, to see exactly where dirt hides, so you do not wipe blindly and smear." The teacher drew back a curtain, letting a slant of sun fall across the mirror. The surface brightened. The guest's face emerged clearly. But strangely, the first thing he saw was not himself but the soft rim of the sunbeam and little ripples of aged bronze, a portrait real and nameless. He then remembered the days he had lived like an unwashed mirror, long meetings, sharp words, secret comparisons, nights awake with phone in hand until eyes burned, all layers of mist piled upon old dust. So when he looked everywhere he saw distortion. The teacher said, "Tonight, before sleep, try the mirror ritual. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Inhale silently say, see, exhale silently say, let go, inhale. Name 1 layer of mist, exhale. Imagine blowing it away, inhale. Name 1 speck of dust, exhale. Touch it lightly, do 3 rounds. Then turn away to sleep, not needing to check how clean the mirror has become. In the morning you will see. And if still hazy, repeat the practice. The world does not expect you to keep a perfect mirror, only to show up rightly." The guest asked, "If someone stands before the mirror insulting me, what should I do?" The teacher picked up the feather, placed it on the mirror, gently blew. The feather drifted away. The mirror remained clear. The teacher said, "Be like the wind. Do not swipe with the stiff brush of pride or fury. Praise and blame are mist. Come and go with weather. Do not use harsh strokes of vanity that scratch. The mirror gets damaged." Then the teacher took the candle outside, held it into the mist at the porch. The flame did not go out. It dimmed, then returned steady, and smiled. This is concentration. Flame knowing when to be small so it can survive the wind. Cleaning the mirror also needs steadiness, when the heart is hot. Shrink flame 1 beat. The guest bowed. In his chest there was a feeling as though a thin veil had been drawn back. Behind it was a space larger than he had imagined. Before leaving the hall, the teacher lifted the mirror, showed him the back. 4 small worn characters still carved. Tri, Quan, Nyan, Exa. Knowing, observing, patience, letting go. The teacher said, "Try, know the mist and dust. Quan, look closely where they cling. Nyan, wipe slowly. No rushing. Exa, do not cling to the result. Let morning sort it." He hung the mirror back. The guest gave thanks, stepped out onto the porch. Morning advancing, the mist melted. The garden appeared as though someone had gently cleaned eyelids. He walked down wooden steps to the well, peered at his reflection in the water. Water also a mirror. But only as long as he did not stir it. A breeze brushed over, ripples distorted. He smiled, waited until the water stilled. Then his reflection whole again. That night, in his in-room, he placed a small mirror on the table, extinguished other lights, lit a candle, carried out exactly 3 rounds of see, let go, mist, blow, dust, touch, wrote on paper 1 word he would not carry into sleep, need to be more, folded it, placed into the dust jar he had been given, then lay down, with a strange sense, not that he was better, but that his room felt less full. And if tonight you, listener, feel your inner mirror clouded, please do not rush to judge reflection or frown at face. Try this. Wipe gently at the mist. Be patient with the dust. Keep your heart moist. Shine light where dirt hides. Before sleep, keep a dust jar by your bed, a cup, a small box, a note. Each night write 1 word you carry that you have not needed: jealousy, pressure, need to prove. Blow out the mist with 1 long exhale. Touch the dust with a nod. Then blow out the candle. In morning, when you look, the mirror may still be a little dim, as many mornings are. But you will notice this. Your face will not be mingled with weather of the heart. And behind that face is a mirror that knows how to receive, how to return, how to shine without holding onto, enough that you can pass through the day with clearer eyes, softer speech, and a smile that needs no proving to anyone. Story 6: 2 Arrows and the Settling Water. That midday, the summer sun shattered into golden fragments across the brick path in the garden. The novice monk was assigned to pull weeds around the mint beds. The soil, moist after the night's rain, let the weeds come out as easily as plucking a strand of hair. But suddenly a thorn from the lemon plant pricked his thumb. A sharp sting, small but acute. A drop of blood welled up like a pomegranate seed. He pulled his hand back, and the small pain ballooned in his mind because a procession of thoughts rose. I am so clumsy, surely the teacher will be disappointed. If the wound swells, I must skip duty. Why'd I always mess things up? Each thought tied another loop around the small arrow, making it heavier, deeper. The teacher passed by, without long words, took from his robe a small pottery jar the size of his hand. Inside there was water drawn from the temple well, so clear one could see its bottom. The teacher placed the jar on the wooden step, invited the novice to sit, spoke slowly. The first arrow has arrived, thorn has pricked, you did not avoid that. But the second arrow is coming, the stories you shoot into yourself. Quickly unbend the bow. He pinched a little salt, dropped it into the jar, stirred lightly, asked, taste it. The novice sipped, wrinkled his face, salty. The teacher nodded, carried the jar outside to a large water trough in a corner of the courtyard, poured the water into it. The clear water of the jar merged into the trough's water. Then the teacher scooped from the trough, offered taste again. The novice laughed because the saltiness had faded like a thought finally opened. The teacher said, salt does not increase. Water changes places. Pain does not have to multiply. The mind can widen. The first arrow is salt, real and small. The second arrow is the habit of filling the little jar. Open your heart a little. The saltness ceases to be everything. Then the teacher gave the novice a clay bowl, scooped water from the trough into it, stirred a circle, set it down, let it rest. After a few seconds, tiny specks of dust settled to the bottom. The surface became clear again like a child's eye. The teacher pointed to that water. This is the lesson of letting settle. The more you stir, the more you muddy. Place the bowl down, you do nothing, the water becomes clear by itself. With pain likewise, with fear likewise, do not stir it with stories. The novice looked at his finger pricked by the thorn, saw that the original sting was in truth as small as a pinhead compared to the swelling, if then, layers that grew in his mind. The teacher wrapped a clean cloth bandage, washed the wound with cold well water, Told the novice to hold his injured thumb in the palm of his other hand as though cradling a small bird. Just tight enough it does not escape. Loose enough it can breathe. Then taught him the 2 arrows breath exercise. Inhale 4 counts. Name the first arrow with a precise word, ache. Sting, hold 1 count. Look straight into it as at a single bright spot. Exhale 6 or 7 counts. Whisper, no second arrow. They did 3 rounds. If a thought comes threatening, you will fail tomorrow. The novice is to smile. Place hand over his chest. Recite the chant. Arrive, be, depart. Let go, feel what arrives. Acknowledge its being. Let it depart, the rest, release. Then the teacher told him to stand. Go barefoot once around the garden on the warm earth. Each step in time with a breath. As though giving the body a chance to teach the mind that the world remains wide. And 1 thorn cannot color the whole sky. When they returned to the porch, teacher placed beside the pottery jar a handful of dry sand and a young lotus leaf. Said, try this. Drop sand into your dry palm, sand clings. Hard to shake off. Drop onto a wet lotus leaf, sand slips away. A moist mind is a mind softened by mindfulness, 1 bit of breath's moisture. 1 bit of warmth and awareness. Every fragment of the day's debris falls rather than clings. The novice did it. Sand in his dry hand stuck as though glued. Sand on the wet leaf fell off in soft little beads that slipped from the leaf's edge. The novice laughed. The tightness in his chest loosened as if a stringed instrument tuned properly. The teacher offered 1 more example, placing 2 small bells on a table. Striking them close together, the first produces a ring. The second echoes. If struck too fast one over the other, sound becomes noise. The teacher struck once, paused until the echo died, then struck again. The sound deepened and cleared. He said, every time you chastise yourself, compare yourself. Imagine worst cases. You are striking a second arrow onto a bell already ringing. This is the second arrow. Allow 1 silence between strikes. Place action after breath, not breath after action. Late afternoon fell. Sparrows returned to the eaves. Wind gentle again. The pricked finger became a small hot spot of awareness, rather than a storm of words. That night at meditation period, the teacher taught the community a small protocol for moments of being pierced, not only by thorns or sharp objects, but by messages, comments, looks. Sit steady. Back straight. Step 1. Name the first arrow, specific event, with a 7-word sentence. Thorn pricked my right thumb. Boss postponed meeting at 4. Friend cancelled plan at last minute. Step 2. Block the second arrow with a 4-word sentence. Don't add the story. Step 3. Open space in the mind with the image of water. Pour into river, or let the bowl settle. Step 4. Do a small kind act immediately to shift the flow. Take a sip of water. Wash face. Walk 10 steps. Respond with, noted. Those 4 steps are like the 4 sides of a frame keeping the picture of life from being skewed. That night the novice lay down. Remembered past times he had been pierced by an unkind word. Then fired dozens of second arrows on his own, by imagining, by forecasting, by defining harshly, until he was exhausted. He whispered as the teacher had taught. Ache, no second arrow. Pour into river, drink water. Then exhaled a long breath and felt his body sink into the soft mattress like a stone finding its bed in the stream. A few days later, in the kitchen, a bowl broke from someone's carelessness. The shock of sound made the room still. Others braced for a harsh reaction. But the novice simply turned, said gently, first arrow is the broken bowl. 1 Clean it. Do not shoot the second arrow into myself. Then took the broom. Someone picked up the shards. The broken bowl pieces dropped into the waste like butterflies gone out of season. After that, in the temple, a custom spread. Whenever something pricks, a stuck door, sudden rain, someone arriving late, someone will remind, do not shoot the second arrow, and people become like large vessels of water able to hold a drop of salt without making the whole village salty. If tonight you, listener, feel in you a thorn still stinging, please place hand on that spot. Inhale 4 counts naming the first arrow. Hold 1 count looking at it straight. Exhale 7 counts softly saying, no second arrow. Then imagine pouring it into a river or setting down the bowl of your heart to settle. Then drink a sip of water, just plain water, to let your body know you chose space. The rest, like the pottery jar on the porch, will settle by itself while you sleep. Tomorrow, if someone says a harsh word or a plan fails, remember the ladle gesture. Scoop more water for your heart rather than more salt into your small cup. And just by that, your day will already be half lighter. Story 7. The empty boat on the early river bend. That dawn rose slowly, as if the sun were timidly feeling its steps through a garden of mist. The river in front of the temple lay broad and flat, its surface veiled in low drifting clouds of vapor. The novice monk pushed a small bamboo boat out into the current to gather bundles of dry wood drifting downstream after the night rain. The oar slipped into the water without sound, leaving only spreading rings like thoughts dissolving. He was busy gathering wood when, from the mist, another boat came drifting. No voice, no oar. The boat's side black as a shadow. Before the novice could steer clear, clop, the two boats struck. The wood bundles shifting, cold water splashed against his neck. A small irritation flared up like a spark in his chest. Who rose like that? He wanted to snap. But the mist thinned suddenly, revealing the truth. The other boat was empty. Its rope untied from its post, it was just a hollow hull carried by the stream. The irritation burst, as though a flame met drizzle. The novice laughed at himself for nearly arguing with no one. He pushed the oar, nudged the empty boat aside. The wood remained enough. The cold on his neck warmed with his breath. In the river's silence he heard a lesson carved into his ribs. Many times when the boat collides with me, it is only an empty boat, an unthinking word, a hurried message, a face heavy with its own troubles, but I shout inwardly at someone. Later that day he told the teacher. The teacher nodded quietly, watching the river shift color. Good. This morning you learned the word empty. Tomorrow you will learn the word anchor. The next morning, the teacher led him to the dock, pointed at a wooden post driven deep into the bank, and said, "This is the anchor. An empty boat is not blameworthy. But to avoid bumping others, a boat must anchor. People are alike. When inside you are empty. When tossed you need to anchor yourself in something peaceful, breath, feet, hands, the sound of the bell. Without this, you will be an empty boat crashing into others unknowingly." The teacher tied a rope from the bow of the novice's boat, taught him a small ritual for moments when irritation arises like short waves. 3 anchor breaths, inhale 4 counts. Silently say, boat, hold 1 count. Silently say, empty, exhale 7 counts. Silently say, anchor, while directing eyes to a fixed point, tip of the toe, edge of robe, grain in the wood. Do this 3 times. The irritation shrinks like mist at sunrise. By afternoon the two ventured out into mid-river. The teacher deliberately drifted his boat so its side bumped clop into the novice's. The novice jolted. Irritation flared, but mouth did not speak, because his hand went to chest. Breath flowed. Boat, empty, anchor. He watched. In the clop there was the hollow of wood. Inside that the murmur of water. In water the soft heart settling. The teacher smiled. You see, the first impulse is to strike back. Because mind hates void. The 3 anchor breaths create the space in time so you can see the boat, before seeing the enemy. Back at the dock the teacher gave another exercise. Place 2 small wooden boats in a bowl of water. Gently push boat A toward boat B. They collide then drift apart. He asked, "What do you feel angry about?" The novice said, "Not angry." "Why?" asked the teacher. "Because there is no one in the second boat." Then in the market, in the kitchen, in texts, try to see the no one, only a habit, a fatigue, a fear, a worn schedule. These are not worth arguing. Only giving your boat a good anchor. One day, walking past a sandy bank, children played tossing pebbles into the river. Each pebble made concentric ripples. The teacher picked one, threw it near. Its waves slapped his leg. Another. He threw farther. Its ripple came slower, gentler. He said, "When you react immediately, throw close, wave hits you. When you give one beat of pause, throw farther, wave comes when you are already steady." That is what 3 anchor breaths is, pausing a beat. Later, a drunken fisherman steering roughly crashed into the novice's boat, shouting, "Get out of the way." The novice almost replied sharply, but his eyes caught the man's trembling hands. hollow eyes, wobbly legs. He breathed. Boat, empty, anchor. He tilted the oar aside. Nodded, not because he conceded, but because he chose stillness. Since then, by the river dock a habit grew. Every evening, retie the boat's rope, check if the post is loose, and every night, before sleep, anchor the inside with 3 short questions like 3 knots. Did I crash into someone today as an empty boat? Did I see emptiness in someone else today? Where did I anchor myself today? Meanwhile, the teacher taught a small tool for those times in crowded places. Choose a portable anchor, a ring, a bracelet, a prayer bead. Whenever another boat bumps you, a criticism, a horn, a line in queue, touch your anchor. Do the 3 anchor breaths if driving. Your anchor is your steering wheel if in meeting, your pen if carrying a child, your warm skin. Once heavy rain, river swelled, dock flooded, several boats broke loose, crashing erratically. People shouted, cursed. The teacher stayed working quietly, tying ropes, saying, secure here, pull slowly, good enough, and the riverside became calm again. That night, teacher said, when storm comes, do not climb up to debate the wind, just tie your rope. The lesson sounds crude but is gentle. Skillful reaction is not argument, but small right action, secure rope, not proving who is right. If tonight you, listener, recall some collision in your day, a sharp comment, a careless message, an abrupt gesture, try the river's lesson, name boat. Then ask, is there someone inside, or only habit? Fatigue, fear? Then do 3 anchor breaths. Inhale 4, boat. Hold 1, empty. Exhale 7, anchor. When you open your eyes again, you will notice 2 things have changed. The wave in your chest has receded. The space where you stand has expanded. Tomorrow, in streets or online, you may carry a portable anchor, a small object. A short phrase, empty is light. Anchor is peace, so whenever boats drift, you do not crash, but stay anchored. And strangely, living so, you more often meet a strange silence. Silence of a river where the boat is anchored. Water still flowing, skies shifting, but clop of collision rare, not because the river is less crowded, but because within you there is a dock firm enough for your boat, and enough that a drifting empty boat might arrive. More, but without wetting anyone's robe. Story 8: The Unlocked Door. That night rain fell in silver threads. Wind slipping along the porch bringing scents of damp earth and old wood. The novice monk carried the oil lamp from the kitchen to the meditation hall to light the evening flame. At the door he saw the smooth wooden board, with an iron ring cold as a tiny moon. He pushed with his shoulder, the door did not budge. He stepped back, gathered strength, pressed harder, his body leaning into the grain of the wood. Heart beating with the wind, shoulder burning, hem soaked, the lamp trembling in his hand. Nearly extinguished. Locked already? He thought. Annoyance rising in him like water in a pot about to boil. Sweat mingling with rain down his temples. He pushed more, veins straining, still the wood held firm. The teacher came down the dark hallway. Without umbrella, not rushing, stopped a few steps away. He saw the iron ring. Said softly as placing a pebble on still water, pull. Child. The novice was startled, changed his hand, grasped the ring, pulled gently. The door swung open quietly like an exhale long held. The warm light from the meditation room spilled out like a soft quilt. The scent of sandalwood and wind at the porch receded. His whole body softened as though he had been given a new frame of bones. The teacher smiled. There are doors that open by pulling, not by pushing. Much suffering comes from using force in the wrong direction. They entered. The novice put the lamp on a shelf. The flame settled, flickering gently. The teacher partially closed the door to feel the rain still breathing outside. Then pointed to the iron ring. When you push, you block yourself, stiff shoulders, clenched jaw, breathing stuck. When you pull, you invite, shoulders drop, jaw relaxes, breath flows in. Do you see? Rest, too, opens by pulling. Pull attention back to body. Pull mind to breath. Pull away from thoughts by saying, tomorrow. Sleeping is a door opening inward. He gave the novice a small exercise called, grasp the door ring, seated on the porch or lying in bed. Right hand loosely grasps left hand as if holding a cold iron ring. Inhale for 4 counts. Imagine the ring cool on skin. This is arrive, hold one count as if the ring is loosely held. This is remain, exhale for 6 or 7 counts. Gently pull hand toward you. Drop jaw. This is depart. Then release hands as the letting go of a breath. This is let go. 3 rounds. Shoulders naturally fall. Tongue releases roof of mouth. Eyelids grow heavy. Pulling is not pulling the world into you, teacher said, but pulling mind back to where it belongs. Here, now, breath. Pushing is adding stories. Pulling is easing the lines of thought. Pushing causes flame to snap. Pulling lets flame stand. Notice. Many of life's doors open inward. Door of forgiveness. Door of silence. Door of focus. Door of sleep. Outside may be noisy, but the hinge lies within. Then the teacher led him down the hall. Stopped before another door with 2 latches. Upper latch would pull. Lower latch would push. The teacher said, confusion of direction is habit, not fault. The cure is a new reflex anchored in the body, here. Jaw and shoulder. He placed hand lightly on the novice's shoulder. Whenever you feel driven to push, argue, prove, win, just do 3 things. Release the jaw. Drop the shoulder. Exhale 1 beat longer. And softly say inside, pull in. Then you will feel the door inch open. To deepen it, teacher added a game. Hung a red thread in a door frame, whenever passing. Touch it and ask, which way does this door open? The novice practiced for several days. He noticed something strange, in the kitchen. When water boiled over, instead of pushing flame high to hurry, he would pull the flame down. Pot settles when someone criticized. He would pull breath to belly. Answer shorter at night when trying to close his eyelids. Instead of pushing them down in eagerness, he would pull darkness into the eyes by fixing on a dark spot inside his mind. After few breaths, eyelids heavy. One night strong wind made the latch creak loudly like a story wanting to be told. The novice woke to push the door to check. Then remembered the lesson. His hand went to the rain. Pulled very gently, just enough gap to see porch, grass drenched in rain. Courtyard wet like buffalo hide. Nothing needing urgency, he closed door. Pulled blanket, tied his thoughts to the word, pull. Breathed, slept. Morning came. Teacher asked, did you have wind last night? The novice answered, yes, but the door opened inward. Teacher smiled. Good, then life can open too. Then teacher gave a ritual for those who struggled to sleep. Place the thumb in the hollow between chin and lower lip, a spot that softens when you relax the jaw. Inhale 4 counts. Exhale 7. Gently pull the jaw down a little as if reminding it, do not push. While imagining a wooden door opening inside your chest, knees sinking, shoulders releasing, belly warming, then bring to mind a harbor within. You have learned, empty bowl, the deposit basket, lamp cover, etc. Set the day like sandals neatly beyond the door. Finally, whisper a phrase like putting a sign outside your door. Not receiving now, all knocks wait until morning. What is subtle but decisive is the word inward, sleep inward. Peace inward, rest inward. If tonight you, listener, are weary of doors you thought were locked, try holding the iron ring, that is your breath. Pull gently 1 breath, drop jaw, drop shoulders. Allow the room inside you to quietly shine. Days will come when you forget. Push again, grow tired, but remember there is another way of opening, by a cupped hand pulling in. Opening door inward. Story 9. The strings at midnight in the middle path. That night the rain stopped late, and the sky looked as if it had just been washed with a basin of cold water. In the meditation room next to the main hall hung an old zither. The wood had darkened over time, and the silver strings shimmered like a strip of river under the moon. After a long day of work, the young novice sat down to pluck a few notes to calm his mind before evening practice. But the sounds that came out were either shrill like the wind whistling through a crack in the door, or dull and muffled like the weary sigh of old wood. Frustrated, he thought to himself, I am so clumsy. His hand tightened, his shoulders tensed, his back stiffened, and his fingers struck harder, as if to force the strings into obedience. The sound grew even worse. The teacher happened to walk by. He stopped, did not scold, but simply sat down beside the boy. With a light touch of his fingernail, he plucked 1 string. A note fell like a drop of honey. Slowly, he said, not too tight, not too loose, the middle path. He then asked the novice to tilt the instrument, handed him a small tuning key, and turned the string just a fraction. The pitch dropped by half a step, and suddenly the entire room seemed to change color. The teacher said, "Meditation and sleep are the same. If the string of your mind is too tight, your head will buzz. If the string of your mind is too loose, your thoughts scatter. Learn to listen to your own strings the way you listen to this instrument. Loosen just enough so that the sound resonates. Hold just enough so it does not fade." Hearing this, the novice suddenly recalled how many times during the day he had tightened himself too much, demanding to finish immediately, to get everything exactly right, to be skillful right away. That was the tight string. And there were also times he had let himself go completely, scrolling his phone mindlessly, delaying endlessly. That was the loose string. The teacher then gave him a practice for the night, calling it the 3 strings: the string of the body, the string of the breath, and the string of the mind. For the body string, lie on the side or on the back. Imagine the spine as a soft, straight cord. Inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 6 or 7 counts, and with each exhale, release the shoulders by just a fraction of an inch. Let the jaw drop by a fraction of an inch. Soften the eyes by a fraction of an inch. Those 3 tiny turns are like adjusting the body string so it does not tighten too much. For the breath string, do not demand length right away. Start with a rhythm of 4-1-6. Inhale for 4. Hold for 1. Exhale for 6. If you feel pressured, lower it to 3-0-5. If you feel yourself dropping off, raise it to 5-1-7. Choose the rhythm where the chest is not stiff, the belly is not held, and the mind is not chasing the count. For the mind string, before closing your eyes, write down just one task that is enough for tomorrow. Not everything, just one. Whisper to yourself, that is enough. Then fold the paper as if folding the lid of a box. Place it on your chest, and imagine you are placing the instrument back in its case. The strings will keep their balance through the night. The teacher then played 3 short notes, low, middle, and high, then stopped. The silence between them felt like a clean courtyard after being swept. He said, "Do you see? Music does not only exist in the notes you play, but also in the pauses. Life is the same, meditation is the same, sleep is the same, pausing is the other half of playing." The novice smiled softly. The teacher continued, "Tomorrow, when you work, tune your strings in the same way. If your heart beats fast, your head feels hot, and your eyes glare, the string is too tight. Lower it a little, step away from the screen for 10 breaths. Sip some water, let your jaw relax. If your hands feel lazy, your eyes drift, your mind wanders, the string is too loose. Raise it a little, stand up, walk 10 steps, set a timer for 20 minutes to do one task. In this way, you stay on the middle path, and suffering lessens, because most suffering comes from extremes. To make it tangible, the teacher put the instrument down, took a thin thread, and tied it around the boy's left wrist. He instructed, each night before sleep, pull the thread once. That is the signal to tune the body string. Place your hand on your belly. That is tuning the breath string. Place your hand on your chest. That is tuning the mind string. When you finish all 3, stop. The rest, the night will do for you. Outside, the wind moved through the porch, and the bamboo leaves rustled like strings being tuned. The teacher slowly told the story of an ancient monk named Sona, who played the lute. When the strings were too tight, they snapped. When too loose, they made no sound. The Buddha told him to walk the middle way. Hearing the words, middle way, did not feel distant to the novice, for it had just appeared on his fingertips. A quarter turn of the key, no more. They sat for a long time, saying nothing, only listening as the room filled with a kind of music without sound, steady breathing, a warm heart, heavy eyelids. Before standing up, the teacher gave one more string trick for those who struggle with sleep. Look back at the 2 extremes of your day. 1, too much. 1, too little. Write one word for each. Too rushed, too little rest, or too comparing, too little laughter. Then write the balancing word next to it, just right. Enough. Fold the paper and place it under your pillow. That is the tuning key for the mind string through the night. If you wake up at midnight because of a noise, do not rush to pluck 1,000 thoughts. Just check the breath string. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 7. 3 rounds. Then notice where tension remains: shoulders, forehead, belly, and lower each one by just a fraction, as if turning the tuning peg with 2 fingers. The novice did as instructed and felt his body tuned to the right pitch, warm and at ease. The next morning, when sweeping the yard, he swept slowly and evenly, neither forced nor careless. Each stroke of the broom felt like striking the right string. At noon, in the kitchen, the pot was boiling too hard. He lowered the flame. In the afternoon, when carrying heavy water, he switched hands halfway to keep the rhythm. In the evening, when receiving a harsh critique, he lowered his jaw by a fraction, extended his exhale by 1 more count, answered with 1 short sentence, "I understand. I will correct it," and then stopped. And if tonight, you, who are listening, feel too weary from the tight strings of the day, then try lying back and first tuning your breath string. Choose a breathing rhythm that makes your shoulders naturally drop and your jaw gently relax. Then tune the mind string by writing down 1 task that is enough for tomorrow, and 1 thing you should not do. Fold the paper. Finally, tune the body string with the 3 tiny adjustments: shoulders, jaw, eyes. Then stop. Let the silence play the rest of the music. Strangely enough, when a person stops trying to perform at midnight and simply allows the music to resonate at the right pitch, a very delicate peace fills the room like a warm mist, and you will drift into deep sleep, not with a sudden fall, but with a sequence of rounded notes in perfect tune, each one flowing into the next through gentle pauses. Neither too much nor too little, just enough so that tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, you immediately touch the middle path, walking just right, working just right, loving just right, so that life feels enough. Story 10: The Finger and the Moon. On the night of the full moon, the clouds were thin, like strips of silk lifted by the wind above the pines. After the rain, the temple courtyard was washed so clean that every brick reflected a piece of the sky. The teacher called the young novice out to the veranda, holding a small oil lamp with the wick lowered just enough. He said, "Come see the moon," then led him along the gravel path to the old well, where the water's surface lay flat like an ancient mirror. The teacher said nothing more. He simply raised a finger and pointed toward the moon rising above the ridge, round but not blinding, golden but not harsh. Yet the boy's eyes, like all young eyes, chased the finger instead. He saw the tiny shine of oil at its tip, the dry nail, the fine wrinkles like threads. And he blurted out, "What are you pointing to on your finger, teacher?" The teacher smiled, did not lower his hand, and spoke softly, as if a leaf had fallen gently onto still water. "The finger points to the moon. Do not mistake the finger for the moon." This time, the boy followed the direction of the finger, and the moon appeared. Then, as if drawn by a gentle spell, he glanced down at the well and saw a second moon, the moon in the water, trembling with every breath of wind. The teacher asked, "Which one is real?" The boy hesitated. "Both can be seen." The teacher nodded. "But one is in the sky. It cannot be clouded by our hands. One is in the water, just one pebble, and it shatters. And the one on the finger is nothing but oil. Most of your life, you follow the oil on your finger and the moon in the water, rarely lifting your head to see the moon in the sky." He picked up a pebble and dropped it into the well. The moon in the water shattered into 100 pieces. The boy gasped. Then the teacher lightly touched his fingertip, smudging the oil. The reflection on the nail bent into a warped shape. The boy gasped again. The teacher did not laugh. He said, "Do you see how fragile those two are? A single word of praise or criticism, like a pebble, can shatter your moon. A headline, a slogan, a post, like a smear of oil, can twist your moon out of shape. But the moon in the sky, it remains, unchanged by anyone's judgment." Practice is not about finding the perfect finger or the perfect surface of water. It is about learning the habit of lifting your gaze. He asked the boy to sit on the stone steps and gave him an exercise called 3 liftings and 1 closing. The first, lift your gaze to the sky for 3 breaths. And with each breath ask silently, "Is this the moon in the sky?" The second, look down at the water for 3 breaths. And ask, "Am I looking at the moon? Or at the ripples?" The third, look at the finger for 3 breaths. And ask, "Is this the guide? Or the destination?" Then close your eyes for 1 long breath, letting all the images fall from your eyelids like leaves falling from branches, until only the real points of contact remain. the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, the air passing through the nostrils, the belly rising and falling. That is the moon of the body, the teacher said, the one that rarely speaks, but always keeps its promise. From that night on, whenever he listened to a teaching or read a scripture, the boy practiced asking in his heart, "Is this the finger? Or the moon?" Whenever he caught himself tangled in words, counting words, comparing words, competing with words, he exhaled deeply, lifted the moon in his mind, and remembered the golden disk above the pines. One day in the kitchen, an older monk lectured passionately about the right way to wash pots. His voice sharp as wind through a gap. The boy almost argued back, but then recalled the well, the moon in the water being stirred by the pebble called right or wrong. He chose instead to wash the pot one more time, letting the clean pot be the answer. Another afternoon, villagers brought a freshly printed book on meditation. The glossy cover, the golden letters, everyone passed it around in awe. The boy too was drawn to it, his hand stroking the cover as if it were the shine of oil on a nail, his heart burning with the urge to memorize it all, to know more. The teacher, noticing, said, "Read it, but between every 2 pages. Lift your gaze once, listen to the birds, feel the wind, hold your tea, do not let the finger lead you too far from the moon." Another time, after heavy rain, the courtyard became a wide mirror. The moon in the water was so beautiful that the boy stood entranced, scooping water in his palms to see the moon inside. But it shattered, mixing with the reflection of pillars. He laughed, realizing his old habit, wanting to hold the whole moon in his hand. The teacher told him more stories, about a man who spent his life painting the moon but never looked at the real one. About a man who wrote down his teacher's words so much that he forgot to hear the teacher's quiet breath and silence. The teacher concluded, "Books are fingers. Rituals are fingers. Even my words now are fingers. The path is the moon. When the finger has pointed true, do not keep holding the finger." To make the lesson part of his nightly rhythm, the teacher gave him a ritual called moonrise before sleep. Before turning off the lamp, open the window or imagine a dark window in your mind. Inhale for 4 counts while looking at the moon in the sky, a still point in the center of the chest. Exhale for 7 counts while looking at the moon in the water, thoughts rippling, and let them settle. Inhale again while looking at the finger, the words, the plans, the to-dos, and smile, saying, "Tomorrow." Then close your eyes, place your hand on your belly, and listen to the moon of the body, rising and falling. If you wake at midnight because of a notification or a thought knocking at your door, do not stir the water, do not open the app, do not dig into the words. Simply repeat the 3 liftings and 1 closing, and the moon within will turn whole again. The next morning, when fetching water from the well, the boy saw children tossing pebbles to break the moon. He did not scold. He picked up a pebble and threw it far, sending ripples wide, so that by the time they reached the edge, they had softened. He understood something more. When others are stirring the water within themselves, instead of blaming, send distant ripples, a nod, a gentle, "Let us leave it for tomorrow," a cup of tea, so that by the time it touches them, it has already grown gentle. And if tonight, you, the one listening, are weary from too many fingers pointing at your life, headlines, advice, comments, deadlines, then take just 1 minute on the veranda of your own mind. Lift your gaze to see the moon in the sky, your breath, whether it is round and whole. Look down at the moon in the water. Your thoughts, whether they are being stirred by someone else. Look at the finger, the words pulling you away from your own living body. Then close your eyes, returning everything to its place. Words back to books, ripples back to water, the moon back to the sky. The rest, the night will do, just as the moon passes through thin clouds without leaving a mark. And in the morning, when you open your eyes, perhaps you will notice something small yet precious, on the glass of water by your bed. There is a faint light, not oil on a nail, not the moon in the water, but the first ray of dawn, right on time, needing no one to point it out. Tonight, that is enough. The bowl is empty, the shoulders are light, the lamp inside you stands steady, the door inward is open. May you sleep deeply and wake with a peaceful heart, ready for a day that is just enough. If these stories have touched you, please subscribe to Silent Soul Garden. Tap the bell so you will not miss the next tale. And share this video with someone who needs a gentle night's rest. In the comments, you can leave one word that you are putting down tonight. Thank you for being here. I will see you in the next night. Sleep well.